My name is Sharon Ledke, and I'm the privileged owner of Mcpike Mansion, and my husband is the other owner, George. And we have owned the mansion since 1994. We acquired the mansion at an auction. Our daughter was a freshman in high school, and we kept driving by seeing the auction sign. So I called my husband the day of the auction, said, "Honey, come on home. I want to go to this auction." He used to call it the Scooby-Doo House of Alton when our children were young. And so we came to the auction, and when they lowered the bid to $25,000, I started raising my hand. We won the bid at $42,000. Our daughter said, "Mom, do you realize what you just did? We're gonna eat bread and water for the next 10 years and I won't get to go to college." So I'll say the good news is she's done with college and we only eat bread and water on Wednesdays now. At any rate, we are the privileged owners of Mcpike Mansion, and we all say that the nicest thing about owning Mcpike Mansion is meeting all the nice people.
Tell us some of the history of the house.
Okay, well, Henry Gus Mcpike came here with his parents John Mountain and Lydia Gus Mcpike in 1847, and he became Recorder of Deeds in Madison County around the early 1850s. He was on the committee to bring the Lincoln-Douglas debates here in 1858 and sat on the platform with Abraham Lincoln as Republican representative. The house actually was not built until 1869, and it took 2 to 3 years to be built. This was actually a country estate. City limits only went up to 18th Street, and it was a large piece of property that he acquired from several different people, really, parcels of land. It was called Mount Lookout Park, and that is how it's registered in the National Register as Mount Lookout, and it is on one of the higher elevations of Alton.
And then what are some of your plans with the property?
Okay, well, let me go back to the history a little bit. And so Henry Gus Mcpike went into the real estate business as Recorder of Deeds. He knew what was being bought and sold, so he went into the real estate business first with Mr. Shoto, and then later with Mr. Newman. And I do believe that is how he made his money. But he also was a charter member of the Horticultural Society in the state of Illinois, and so he had vineyards and orchards here. He propagated the Mcpike grape that was sold throughout the United States, and it was a very, very large dark grape, a cross between a Lardon and a Concord. He had his hands in lots of pies. He was mayor of Alton for 2 terms in 1887 to 91. He also, since he was a friend of Abraham Lincoln and Abraham Lincoln was a friend of his, he was also involved with politics. And so he was in the telegraph room in Springfield when Mr. Lincoln found out that he had become president. So you can see he actually was involved in many, many different things. He was very community-minded and did a lot for the community. So our plans for the house is to keep it open to the public. We would like to have a bed and breakfast on the second floor if possible, and keep the first floor open for special events such as weddings and different events. So we have had weddings here on the outside. And of course, I just want to say I did not know it was haunted when I bought the house. I wasn't too thrilled when I found out, because I'm basically a big chicken. So, but anyway, our plans are to keep it open to the public And it is a very important part of Alden's history. And so we want it to remain as such.
That's awesome. Can you just tell me maybe some of the activity that's happened in this place?
Oh, sure. Okay, well, throughout the years, a lot of different activities have happened. Actually, the first thing that happened to me was that I tripped on some boards and bricks up on the first floor and felt a tug on the side of my warm-up jacket. I honestly think that they were just trying to keep me from falling. The second thing that happened to me was that I saw a man in the window on the second floor about seven weeks after we bought the house. And I hadn't seen any pictures of anyone then. But I do think it was Paul Moshinger that I saw. He and Shiggy were the last people to live in the house. And I personally have been touched in the cellar more than one time. More recently, we just had a tour and there were a couple of people that were touched. There were someone that smelled cigar smoke, which Henry liked to smoke cigars. Excuse me. And then another lady smelled someone baking. We do know that Shuggy liked to can. So we think altogether we have about 10 or 12 spirits, children's spirits, and the children often interact in the cellar too. People ask me, do they hang out in the cellar? No, they don't hang out in the cellar. It's just that we ask them to come down in the cellar since that's where people can go. And we ask them to join us in sight or sound or touch or smell as long as it is not harmful to anyone. Of course, there's been a few things that perhaps have been unnerving throughout the years. Years ago, I was down here with a group of young people and I don't know I can't remember if the doors were open or shut, but it was like somebody slammed the big metal door or threw something against it. And so I asked the spirits if they would not be so loud, but that was kind of unnerving. I was ready to leave at that point. But nothing bad has ever happened to anyone. And Jenny, one of the spirits of the house, she tends to be back here. She's our little trickster. She would be Henry's daughter-in-law. And she sometimes likes to touch people or pull their hair or whatever. We have Sarah, usually comes in. We believe she was a personal attendant. And Mary, his first wife, is usually present. And she loves children. Henry loves children. Henry is usually around. After all, it is his house and he's very proud of it. And so there's several spirits. James, which would actually be his firstborn son, was Jenny's husband. And we have a couple children that we do not necessarily think are connected to the Mcpike family. We think perhaps someone who owned the property previously. But sometimes his mom comes down, Lydia, and we think Ben was like a worker, or sometimes help watch the children. So there's several spirits here.
Okay. Before you have any other questions, I have one for myself.
Okay.
There is, I think the last time I talked to you, there's a video out there that was done in the 90s of that white mist in here.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in here, and I've been here since I've been here, and it's obviously not picking up any dust. So, can you tell me something about that? When it was shot? Who shot it? Kind of thing?
Okay. On the list, Renee Cruz actually shot it, and it was one of Troy Taylor's first ghost conferences in Alm, so it's quite a while back. But anyway, we came down here, and the mist was actually in the hallway. My friend Renee Cruz, and she was videotaping, and I'm thinking it's a hot July day, there's lots of moisture in the air, da-da-da-da. But actually what did happen, and this went on for about 25 minutes, the mist appeared and moved around, came into the cellar, dissipated, moved back out in the hall. There were several things that happened during that time period. Actually, it was pretty phenomenal. Really.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite of all times.
Right.
That's the reason why I brought it up to you, because now being in here, there is absolutely no airflow. I can definitely tell like that.
So no, that was definitely paranormal. I've seen the mist down here a few, other times. sometimes it does. Actually, when I took a picture of those children, they tend to like children, and my camera didn't really catch that, but on my phone. But actually, there was kind of a mist moving here, and so.
Okay.
But that was actually pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I love it. All right, Spirit Box Session Cellar with Miss Chloe Bain.
Okay. Who's here with us?
Where's my pink shirt?
Paul wants his shirt. You can cut that out.
I thought that laugh came from the thing.
Totally me. I'm gonna go kind of south on this. I want to talk who's attached themselves to Chloe. You're gonna talk to me.
Who's attached to Chloe?
Because I know it's no one from this house. Guys, I feel like it's self-calling on me.
Who are you?
They're not wanting to say anything right now.
You were vocal earlier.
Doing things like this, though, proves when we're hearing stuff that it's no joke.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's why I point that out, because
But I still want to talk to old dude because who are you? Where did you come from?
Are you human?
Why did you attach yourself to her?
What is your name?
they just don't want to say nothing right now.
Are you talking to you and all? Anybody else is here dating?
Okay, so I'm gonna. This is something that I've known to do, and I haven't done it here, but I think this is what's going on with me. I can sometimes hear things through this that no one else hears. And I would do it in the car on the radio all the time. And I think that's what I keep doing when I'm hearing something out of this ear. And that, because there's nothing there.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Paul, why in the fuck do you have that?
It's to protect me from his spirits. Oh my gosh.